Some of us have been curious as to what the map of Lost Heaven is going to look like in Mafia Definitive Edition when it comes out on September 25th. And good news for us, Hangar 13 dropped the map. That's right, we get to go check out the map. And they actually cropped some of the images from the map on the Twitter. We'll look at the Twitter screenshots and then we'll move over to the Newswire. By the way, both Mafia's Twitter account and the Newswire with the map included in all its glory, link below in the description section. Obviously, they kept the name of the city, which is a good thing, Lost Heaven. And here's Central Island, which is obviously in the center of the city of Lost Heaven. And then on the east side, you have Oakwood, which is like upper class, Holbrook, Beach Hill. It looks like they changed the name that because they used to be Oakdale or Oak Hill, so they changed that name. And this is where all the rich people are, the money. This is Holbrook. It's where the poor people are. So they did change some names. There's North Park. There's Downtown. And next is the Works Quarter. This is on the left side of the map where you can also find Chinatown. And below that, Little Italy. And also Salieri's Bar and the docks. And if you look over here, actually you can't see it, but just north on the east side of the map is the airport. So, I mean, for the most part, it's pretty accurate to what the original version of Lost Heaven looked like. Now, as they point out, while the Lost Heaven may look familiar to those who visited Mafia's 2002 release, the city has in fact seen a dramatic transformation in Mafia Definitive Edition. So, there are similarities in Lost Heaven from the original game, and there are also differences. And a lot of the differences I've noticed, for example, like I mentioned, there's been some name changes, some parts of town, and some people have speculated that Salieri's Bar has been moved just a little bit. The city of Lost Heaven has changed a lot in the 18 years since the original Mafia. Revisit any city after 18 years away and you're sure to find it changed. The fictional city of Lost Heaven in which the events of Mafia Definitive Edition take place is no different, but its transformation has nothing to do with the population growth, gentrification, or changing architectural trends. Rather, the dramatic differences between Lost Heaven circa 2002 with the original Mafia game and how it looks today, courtesy of the gameplay-motivated design changes, technical advancements, and of course, developers at Hangar 13 who spent years rebuilding Lost Heaven as a labor of love. So there are some really cool screenshots. We'll go over the screenshots in just a minute, as well as the map in more detail. Much of the city of Chicago in the 1920s and 1930s serves as its inspiration. Lost Heaven is located in America's Midwest, riddled with corruption and home to powerful crime bosses who built their city off the backs of prohibition. Below is a map of Lost Heaven as it appears in Mafia Definitive Edition. The geometry from 2002's version of Mafia was used as a guideline during the new game's on-world customization and construction, so the layout of the districts, city blocks, and main roads is largely the same. Even if some of the names have changed. Yeah, some of the names are a little bit different now. Memorable missions, locations from the original game like Clark's Motel, the International Airport, Racetrack are all here along with most of the countryside area north of the city. Now it can be visited freely without needing to progress through the story. No more invisible walls or construction signs in the loading screen. So that's good news. Alongside the obvious visual improvements, some of which were highlighted in the recent Mafia Definitive gameplay trailer, certain areas of Lost Heaven have benefited from our significant upgrades and make them feel more authentic and atmospheric. The city's center has more high-rise buildings, keeping with the construction post-war boom of the 1920s and 1930s. Chinatown more recognizable as a result of distinctive architecture and a population representative of the era's Chinese community that was not present in the original game. Other areas, the topography of the terrain has been changed, not only to make navigating the areas more interesting, but also provide more vistas of the city skyline, which can now be enjoyed from a much greater distance than were possible with the limited range of vision afforded by the 2002 hardware. See, while you're behind the wheel of one of Mafia Definitive Edition's period authentic cars, unless you happen to be in the Drifter, or perhaps riding one of the motorcycles that are first of the series, you might appreciate some of the changes that have made Lost Heaven's road network. New side alleys for shortcuts give you more options when you're attempting to evade police. Corners of intersections have been built to allow for a smoother driving experience than you might have had in the original game. Furthermore, Hangar 13 reviewed heat maps of players' driving routes to see which roads are being used most frequently during missions, and based on this data, the locations of certain objectives were changed. As a result, you're more inclined to pass through a variety of different neighborhoods and explore new areas instead of finding yourself on the same roads over and over again in your daily commute. Let's see, every district has a distinct look and ambience and will feel very different depending on the time of day. Roads are filled with yellow cabs during the daytime, flanked by busy sidewalks and smokestacks of work and factories. Almost unrecognizable at night. After sundown, the traffic is minimal. Sidewalks are largely deserted. The neon signs of hotels and entertainment venues are so easily overlooked during the day, now unmissable even from a distance, serving as a reference points as you navigate in the dimly lit streets. Hangar 13 is excited for you to visit these remade vision of Lost Heaven in Mafia Definitive Edition when it's released on September 25th, and hope you'll enjoy exploring the city as much as they've enjoyed building it. And it is confirmed that free ride mode is coming to Mafia Definitive Edition. While the game itself is going to be linear, similar to Mafia City of Lost Heaven was, there will be a free ride option which will allow you to explore the city in a variety of vehicles through the car cyclopedia, and there'll probably be other activities as well that you can enjoy through free ride. So yeah, free ride is coming back to Mafia Definitive Edition. Before we check out the map itself, we'll look at these images. Not as big as I was hoping for in the screenshot, but it looks pretty cool. Got some NPCs, got some wagons. Pretty cool. I mean, I wish it was larger. I mean, I guess I could try and zoom it in. Okay, that's a little bit better. So I had to zoom this image in because it wasn't as big as I was hoping. But the detail is pretty amazing. And yeah, a lot of people used wagons. I mean, even though cars were obviously becoming a thing by the 1920s and 1930s, there are still people that would like haul around wagons full of items and whatnot, you know, going from place to place. So as you can tell, the way that the wagon's built, where you would like go behind your back and you would grab the handles and you would just have whatever you have as you would, you know, carry it around. Well, I guess walk around, hauling it around the streets of Lost Heaven. I don't know if we're gonna actually see that, but it is cool that they have this time period appropriate wagon buggy that you would see people using to haul things around from point A to point B. Now this is an absolutely gorgeous image of one of the bridges that is in Lost Heaven. As you can tell, it's overlooking downtown, the sun setting. Hopefully the skybox in Mafia Definitive Edition will be way better than the skybox in Mafia 3, even though it's built on the same engine. Obviously there's been improvements from Mafia 3 to Mafia Definitive Edition. Hopefully the skybox is one of those improvements. The water looks pretty good. I wonder if we'll actually be able to swim in the water. Obviously, we weren't able in Mafia City of Lost Heaven, but maybe we'll be able to in Mafia Definitive Edition. So we got the downtown area. We have clouds. We have sunset. We have some 1930s era cars going over the bridge. And here's an image of the City of Lost Heaven at night. You see the trolley lines, the tram lines. It's nighttime, and as you can tell, the neon lights are on for all the different locations, hotels, restaurants, I guess clubs and whatnot. It's also raining, so there will be weather. There'll be normal weather, there'll be rain, and it'll be interesting to see how the weather dynamic is going to work and look in Mafia Definitive Edition. And obviously at night, you'll have the lights come on in vehicles. You have a cab car, you have a few other cars on the streets of Lost Heaven at night. And I'm sure that the rain will have a negative effect on traction, just like it would in real life in most other online games. Alright, so let's take a look at the map of Lost Heaven. So we're going to move in over. We're going to start on the left side, and then we'll work our way to the east side. So we'll start in the top corner. So you got Two Hatch Pond. By the way, some of you will be like, well, that name's different. Yeah, because some of the things have been obviously renamed. You have the North County Marina up here. You have Lake Flyer. That's what the lake's called. You have Flyer Dam. And I'm sure some of you, like I mentioned, will notice some things are a little bit different. Not exactly 100%, but the map is very detailed. So you got the North River going into Lake Flyer, and then going down, you have this little area right here. You have Jayhawk Bluff. And if we scroll over here, okay, there we go. You got Jayhawk Bluff. You got the Red Flower Mansion. You got Chinatown, which they mention has been fixed up. It looks like a Chinatown would look, a lot more appropriate. You have Little Italy right here in the Salieri's Bar. And I believe that Salieri's bar is in a different location now than where it originally was in the Lost Heaven map of the original Lost Heaven, game. But that's fine. I mean, there's the West River Tunnel, so tunnels have returned. Robinson Park, the gardens. You have Terra Nova Bridge right there. And we're still going to stay on the left side of the map. We have the works quarters, and you have factories here. You have the port, St. Peter's Docks, Central Rail Station, the Federal Customs Impound, the West River, as well as the St. Peter Coast. I think that's stayed the same. Lost Heaven Art Gallery, Central Island. You have the City Theater. You have the prison up here. I think in the original game there was the old and new prison. So there's two prisons. You also have the West Harbor Bridge, and then over here you have the Marshall Bridge. This is the East River, and that's the West River. The Giuliani Bridge. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs that they put in the 2002 game, like Giuliani Bridge, and a few other things from various mob movies that you may notice as you play the game. So Terra Nova Bridge goes across from the west side of the map to the east side of the map. In order to go into Central Island, you have to take Giuliani Bridge, West Harbor Bridge, or the West River Tunnel. And up here is Pepe's Restaurant, right by the Morello's Bar. And then you got the hospital, you got a Museum of History, you got the Federal Post Depot right there. And you got Holbrook over here. So some things obviously have changed their name. The stadium's name, Lansom Stadium now. And then you have downtown, so this is the downtown region. And you have Hotel Corleone. That sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Like I said, little Easter eggs. St. Michael's Church, I guess formerly the Lost Heaven Church. They renamed it. You have the waterfront. You have the city cemetery over here. I think there was some tennis courts in the original game. You have the other church, the Oakwood Church. This is like middle class, upper class. Oakwood Junior High School. That name has stayed the same. The park, Holbrook, like I mentioned, it's kind of like a poor region of the map. This is where Salieri's warehouse is. I always found it interesting that Salieri's bar is over here in Little Italy, yet his warehouse is over here in Morello territory. I always found that really odd, the decision making in 2002 for them to put the warehouse so far away from their turf, basically in Morello turf. It doesn't really make sense. Lost Heaven International Airport is here, so the airport's available. That's going to be at least a few missions we'll go to the airport for. And next what we got, let's see, over here is the Rich area. Now they changed this. I think this used to be called Oak Hill, so they changed this to Beach Hill. And the lighthouse is still there, so the lighthouse is still available for you to go to. And there's usually a hill, and if you had like a really low-powered car, it was a pain in the ass to get up the hill in order to get to the rich folks area. So this is where the rich people are. And as we move up in the map into the country, Clark's Motel. So Clark's Motel is still there. And there's actually a lot of countryside, so it's going to be kind of cool to venture around the map, at least in free ride. So you got Old Fort Bridge, you got, let's see, Berrywood Creek. All right, what else do we got to look at? You got some other things. I guess we've made a full circle around the map. So there's Flyer Dam again, West Bank Mill, Durham Pond. So I think that's all the main spots for the Mafia Definitive Edition version of Lost Heaven. Before I wrap up, I forgot to mention what appears to be the racetrack in Mafia Definitive Edition. It's obviously to the west of the Works Quarter. And we're going to be using the racetrack for at least one mission. Hopefully it'll be a lot more enjoyable experience than the original race mission in Mafia City of Lost Heaven. And more than that, I would like to have like multiple races here, like the optional versions, right? You'll have one mandatory race you have to do, but if you want to eventually go back to the racetrack and compete in other races, maybe unlock additional rewards, that would be really cool. I would like to see that in Mafia Definitive Edition as an option, and maybe similar to Mafia 3 where they added racing to Mafia 3. Clearly as a side thing you could do. I would like to see some racing modes in Mafia Definitive Edition, because in the original Mafia game, the console versions, even though the console version was not very good, one thing they did add to the console version of the original Mafia game was racing Grand Prix, and I would like to see that return for Mafia Definitive Edition. Once again, purely optional with some rewards, incentives for you to do it. So maybe some different like street racing Grand Prix around Lost Heaven, like over in the Works Quarter, Central Island, on the east side of the map, in downtown, North Park. Maybe even taking advantage of the roads north of the map in the country. I could see some varieties of racetracks that they could do with racing for Mafia Definitive Edition. So hopefully that's something that they're also got up their sleeves for Mafia Definitive Edition, but at the very least we will have one race that we will have to do, but I don't mind having additional races that we could do, for side questing for fun, that would also involve some additional unlockables, rewards that we could get while playing Mafia Definitive Edition. So hopefully we'll see some additional races and Grand Prix in the game whenever it launches in hopefully less than 2 months from now. The map looks really cool. Obviously, they made some changes, but for the most part, it has stayed true to the original version of Lost Heaven with a few obvious changes, which I can find acceptable. I don't really have a problem with that, to be honest, but I'm really excited to play Mafia Definitive Edition when it comes out, hopefully September 25th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Going to be streaming it, hopefully. And your thoughts, your views, and opinions about the new map of Lost Heaven. By the way, if you want to have your own copy of the map of Lost Heaven, the article linked below in the description section, just click on the map, then you can just save it, and you can check out it at your heart's desire. So your thoughts, your views, and opinions regarding the rebuilding of Lost Heaven for Mafia Definitive Edition. As always, welcome below in the comments section.